Hello everyone! In this video I'm going to be playing Fortress Survival Alpha 6.76. Been quite a while since I released my last Fortress Survival video. I believe that was version 6.56 or something like that. The strategy since that video was released has actually changed quite a bit. If you had all the same stuff that I had in that video, like bonus items, hero, etc., you still wouldn't really be able to win unless you had allies to help you out, because the strategy that I followed in that video just does not work too well anymore. After saying that though, it is actually, there are some similarities to the strategy that I'll be using today, but for the most part, there's also a fair amount of differences. So let's go ahead and generate my bonus items. Oh, I have to load my code first. Also, so a couple of basic differences. Instead of using this base over here, I will now be using this base. I kind of switched to this base recently because you start with a lot of repair units, which is fairly convenient, but also because you get a fair amount of relatively powerful bonus units, which is nice. So the first thing you want to do after you've claimed your base is upgrade your walls. Just kind of upgrade these whenever it's available. It's not super, like the first few minutes are pretty slow, so it's not a super rush if you're a little bit off timing wise. After that, I'm going to go ahead and create the Tinker. The Tinker is a rank based hero, but he's a very low one. You get access to the Tinker once you're level 5, which probably is like 2 games if I had to guess. You can definitely get it pretty quickly. So the reason that I like the Tinker is because it gives me access to the Advanced Repair Factory, and it also gives me access to Cogs of Time and Reconstruction. Reconstruction is a fantastic repair ability. It will repair structures for a percentage of its maximum health, which ends up being really good as your structures end up getting tons of health later on. And then the other reason that I like the Tinker a lot is because he gets access to a fair amount of the same buildings as your worker. And the reason why that's important is it essentially means that you're able to get your base structures down almost twice as fast, which is important for getting down or creating a lot of lumber mills early on. There's one other, I don't remember if I mentioned this, I don't believe I have yet, but there's one other important structure that the Tinker gives us access to, and that's the Advanced Repair Factory. It's comparable, so it has the same repair range as the normal Repair Factory. However, it has an increased repair rate, which means that by having 10 Advanced Repair Factories instead of regular repair factories, it'll actually, over the course of the game, get its access to quite a few additional lumber mills. So also, the reason why I'm doing my, one moment here, the reason why I'm using this specific layout for my lumber building setup is oh, whoops, I actually made an error here. This specific Advanced Repair Factory is completely useless, so I'll probably destroy that later on. Anyway, so the reason why I went with this specific layout is because it gives me access to a lot of units per area cast of the of the Alchemist transmutability. If you go, there are different layouts that can be done where it's more like you have 3 structures that you get per area transmute, but the problem that I found with that is you end up running out of mana. And while it is possible to deal with that, personally I prefer the slightly more relaxed pace of getting 8 per usage instead of 3 or 4, and yeah. So that's mainly why I went with this method.
Yeah, baby. I'm on top of it.
Okay.
I can handle that.
So don't forget to cast Cogs of Time whenever it becomes available. The default cooldown is 50 seconds, and I believe the final cooldown, you can upgrade it 10 times, is 20 seconds. So after a while, it ends up getting pretty good. And the big thing that you want to use this on is the lumber mills. So once that comes off cooldown, I activate it, and then my worker will instantly skip the reconstruction time for a lumber mill, which they're pretty slow. I don't know the specific time, but I'd venture a guess that by default it's 50 seconds, and with the repair structures, it's probably like, I don't know, 15 seconds or something. So yeah, they'll definitely speed things up a lot. Alright, so with that, the first area transmute is complete, and I'm going to place 8 tiny lumber mills down. And immediately after that, I'm going to start up the next batch of lumber mills to construct and upgrade my tower, or walls.
I'm all geared up.
And then after that, I'm going to create a regular repair factory in the middle of where all the tiny lumber mills will be placed around. The reason for this is that it will later on be upgraded into a tiny lumber mill 7, I believe, which is the best repair structure available. And by getting this done now, it makes it a bit more convenient for later on. So there's one more free wall upgrade, which we'll be upgrading to in a moment. And as you can see, I wasn't super vigilant on upgrading those, and I still had it fully upgraded with pretty much plenty of time. So not too big of a deal if you're a little bit slow on that. And get that next repair factory up, and do another area transmute. So one thing that you may have noticed that I was doing a bit earlier on was that I moved the bank tellers outside of this region. I'm also going to be teleporting them outside of my base because essentially they're completely useless and I want to build stuff here later on and they would just get in the way. Looks like this is off cooldown, so I'm going to go ahead and use that again. I'm also going to create an item vendor, a command center, and a mercenary tent. I normally would queue them up, but due to the cooldown on Cogs of Time, it'll end up erasing my pre-queued structures, so I'm not going to bother at the moment. And I'm going to upgrade another few lumber mills into lumber mill 2s. One thing to keep in mind is if you do want to maximize your income, you want to upgrade your lumber mills whenever you have enough wood to, just get that little extra edge. Alright. So the way that you want to place this is you want to place 4 lumber mills around each side of the repair factory, so 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, so on, and it ends up coming out to 32 lumber mills per repair factory. Alright, looks like this is finished and that cooldown is off. Before I create the next structure, I'm going to create some basic towers. The purpose of these towers will just be to upgrade them into freezing towers. This is useful for reducing the amount of damage you take from bosses, and since freezing towers are free, you also get a little bit of extra DPS at no cost. I'm going to go ahead and move these guys to the right. Okay, the final area transmute for the left repair factory is now complete. And I'm going to go ahead and move the alchemist to the right side. One other thing that I'm going to do is get the first level of armored walls and strengthened walls. The reason for that is they're super cheap and research almost instantly, so it's a good way to get a small health boost basically instantly. Okay, and next up doesn't really matter the order on this, but next up is going to be another command center and a mercenary tent. Mercenary tent is pretty slow to construct, so it's pretty unlikely that, well, the shift queue will go off, but it won't finish constructing before Cogs of Time is ready to go. Alright, there's another 8. My advice when it comes to area transmuting is to place your structures, or place the tiny lumber mills after you have queued up a couple of lumber mills for your worker to build. The reason for this is that the tiny lumber mills, while they are important, after a while they're going to be providing very little money, or very little wood in comparison to just the long-term gains of if you had more lumber mills overall. So just, yeah, focus on creating the queue here first, then place them, and then, yeah, just kind of repeat that process. Alright, finally for this, I'm going to be creating an aura statue and then create another command center. The reason I want 3 command centers is because later on, when I have a lot of wood, I'll have plenty of upgrades to do at the same time. By having multiple command centers, it will expedite that process by quite a bit. So you'll want to upgrade your aura statue, like I just did, into the defensive statue. The defensive statue is the only one that matters because the majority of the DPS for enemies will not be coming from towers, so there is no point in getting the offensive statue. But the defensive statue is basically a free wall upgrade at a fraction of the cost, because later on the wall upgrades are going to be like 500 wood per, and that's only going to give you 5 armor, while the Guardian statue gives you 3 armor for free, 6 armor for 5, and so on. So it's just excellent value. Alright, and with that, we're kind of reaching a little lull where there's not too much of a use for the Tinker at the moment, but there are some other things that you can construct if you'd like, such as an additional command center, which I guess I'll make. Yeah, I'll place a 4th one right over here. And also, you'll notice the blue aura circle just appeared on lots of my nearby structures, and that is because the Guardian statue just finished upgrading. And once again, that was free as well. So next up, I'm going to upgrade all of my repairmen into mechanical engineers. Not the best timing for me to do that, but it doesn't matter too much. As I mentioned earlier, well, I was going to say, as I mentioned earlier, I have the reconstruction ability, but I didn't actually skill that yet, so I can't use it. Either way, not a big deal though. Get the rest of the lumber mills upgraded. My personal advice is that you upgrade all of your lumber mills to level 2 before upgrading them to 3, because for the early lumber mills, specifically level 2 and 3, it will double the efficiency of your lumber mill. However, the cost gets, so basically the level 2 upgrade costs 5 wood, and it will double your productivity, but the level 3 upgrade costs 10 wood, and it also only doubles your productivity. So basically you can double 2 level 1 mills for 10 wood, or 1 level, actually you know what, ignore that, it comes out to about the same, but I still prefer to do it this way. It doesn't matter too much though. Anyway, so the next thing I'm going to do is upgrade this to the champion statue, and this champion statue will give 6 armor and an aura. It hasn't finished researching yet, which is why it says it's only giving 3. And the aura will still be active while it's upgrading, so you don't need to worry about that. And we're going to use another cogs of time here. Also going to cancel this structure. You might be thinking, why did I cancel that? And that's because for some reason, the current Warcraft 3 patch is a bit buggy with this game. And what I found is if a structure doesn't trigger the auto repair of my repair units, oh, that's unfortunate, then it means that it also can't be picked up with the area transmutation ability of the alchemist, so it's better just to cancel it and move on. And you'll also notice that one wasn't picked up by the area transmute, which is why I destroyed it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get an armor upgrade here. And I'm not going to bother with any of the health upgrades for quite a while. And I'm going to continue upgrading more of these to lumber mill upgrades. Alright, I'm going to blink them over into here. It fits a total of like 15 or something around there. Maybe it's 13. To get another, actually, you know what, before I get that next level of wall upgrades, I'm going to have to upgrade some more lumber mills, because it's not super essential just yet. And I'm just approximating with the amount of repair bots that I built. It's possible that I might have made one too many. Not too big of a deal though, they're super cheap, only 2 wood to make. There we go. Looks like all walls are doing fine, kind of as I said. Defenses are a-okay at the moment. We're going to get a lot of additional tiny lumber mill 2s upgraded. And once I get this whole cluster up to tiny lumber mill 3s, I'm going to upgrade my walls again. And now I have access to reconstruction, which is going to make my walls a lot more durable in case of emergency, so that's quite valuable. The next wall upgrade is going to cost 25 wood, so in total that's going to cost me 125. So won't take too long for that. Right now I'm making 3 wood a second, so it's going to take like a minute or 2. Unfortunately, it looks like, here, I'll show this off. So you'll notice even though I used my single transmutation pickup, it did not work, and that's kind of pretty annoying, but unfortunately I don't think there's a way to get around that. besides just deleting the worthless structures. Alright, time to upgrade these. And also, if you're in an extreme emergency, another thing that you can do is use my hero's area missile ability. This is a pretty useful ability. It will stun all the nearby units for a couple of seconds, which can be useful in times of emergency. And you'll see that this triggers really fast and keeps all my structures at higher hit point levels. Probably a good time to get the next level of engineer upgrade, since it looks like the walls are taking a fair amount of damage. Looks like my walls are doing more or less fine. It's a good time to get another level of armored walls, and then I'm going to start creating some more lumberman units. Yeah, and there's no reason to keep using reconstruction at the moment. My walls are doing perfectly fine, and that's just going to consume a lot of mana. The main reason why my walls are taking damage, if you're wondering, is because these guys don't auto-repair right after you've upgraded them, so I was actually missing out on a lot of repairs. So, I'm going to pick up the next level of armor upgrades once I get a little bit more wood. And I'm also going to finish upgrading the rest of these technicians. Now, slightly weird, I don't know which units were specifically upgrading there. Looks like I had a few more to upgrade than I thought, but I only had 6, but it looked like 8 ended up upgrading. See how the walls are doing, completely fine. And after a while, I'll either upgrade, let's see here. So this will, if I upgrade these guys, it will take them to 50% efficiency. It's like 4 per. Yeah, but that will also run 15 wood. Yeah, so the next research will probably be upgraded electrical engineers. It's pretty close either way though, so not too bad. Some more of these structures, or lumber mills upgraded. And put a few more points into reconstruction. Reconstruction is a 20-point ability, and once you max it out, you end up getting about 1,000 healed per use. Also, when you factor in the percentage healing of the wall. There we are. Alright, so that's the last of the Tiny Lumber Mill 2s, which means it's now time to start getting Lumber Mill 4s. 4 Tiny Lumber Mill 4s put together will become a Tiny Lumber Mill 5, and then 7 tiny, or 8 Tiny Lumber Mill 5s around a repair factory becomes a Lumber Mill 7, which can then be shrunk into a Tiny Lumber Mill 7. So I'm going to save up for armored walls, and actually, you know what, before I do that, well, actually not related to saving this, but I'm going to use my Malignant Virus and pass my items over to my hero. So the Malignant Virus increases the damage of my hero by 330, and it also increases its attack speed and movement speed. The next structure started, and upgrade this. We're almost have enough wood to upgrade that. Once again, wall HP looks like it's doing perfectly fine. Next boss, Dreadbane Khan. Once Dreadbane Khan comes, you usually want to have granite walls, so I'm going to start upgrading these. Personally, I like to start with the outer 2 walls, and then get the inner one, and upgrade the middle, this one and this one last. I find that those are just the walls that usually end up taking the most damage, which is why I like to prioritize them. Nope. Get a couple of another 4 lumber mills upgraded, and here's Dreadbane Khan, and we need to get the last 2 walls upgraded to granite. Granite walls have 60,000 health. I can't remember if they have more armor though. I guess we'll see in a moment. Use another cogs of time to get an instant lumber mill. And I guess we'll just do some more technical things. Looks like the walls are doing mostly fine. One thing I'm going to do is upgrade this to a 20 wood technician. Reason for that is the technician that will get the most bang for the buck at the moment, and I'm saving a little bit of wood to upgrade these guys. Looks like this is 201, so I'll save up for that, and then yeah, so it looks like just upgrading the walls doesn't actually affect the armor at all, so you're only getting extra health from that. Upgraded. And then I will upgrade all of the tiny lumber mill 1s once I get this one to a tiny lumber mill 7. Due to the way that wood ends up working this game, it ends up you get like a steep increase in the amount of wood you need later on, because more wood lets you upgrade more of these, which lets you get more wood faster, so you end up getting kind of like an exponential curve. Not sure if it would be probably exponential, but I'm not going to talk about that. So you just end up getting a lot more wood once you have a bit of wood production. Or I guess lumber, which is what the game actually calls it. Alright, going to get a upgrade strengthened walls. I'm also going to make a few marines. And while that marine begins to upgrade, I'm going to create a research food bonus, which will raise my food cap to 105. And as you can see, the bug that happens where they don't auto repair is really random. It's happened a few times early on, but now it hasn't happened in a little while, so I really have no idea at all what causes that. Okay, looks like wall HP is still going fine. And now I'm going to go ahead and upgrade these to tiny lumber mill 2s. Check out my WPS, looks like a 7. Not super high, but it's decent. Oh, one other thing worth mentioning is that you end up getting some wood per kill, which is why it seems like which is why I'm getting more lumber than my income would imply. But also the other reason for that is because the lumber construction times, so each of these buildings doesn't actually produce lumber at a constant rate. It produces 0.1 a second, which is why also a reason why you end up getting bursts of lumber. Okay, looks like this wall, for whatever reason, is taking a bit of extra damage, so I'm going to get some advanced repair bots. Oh, okay, the reason why is because of Grummel, I believe is his name. Or Grummus. Probably a good time to get the next level of armor upgrades. And then once I research this, I'm going to upgrade these all to the next level of technician. It's important to have your repair guys sufficiently upgraded before Lieutenant Steeler comes, because if you do not have that, he will just absolutely shred your walls. Personally, I like to have dark walls usually by the time he comes, or light walls is even better. Let's go ahead and get these guys upgraded. There we are. Also, you'll notice some of these slow freezers are getting destroyed. Not super relevant. They're once again they're free to build, so if you lose a couple, nothing to do. Oh, okay. Well, thankfully that blink failed. I just realized after I clicked out there that it looks like one of my repairmen ended up dying. So conveniently, that extra guy I made by accident earlier ended up being relevant. Looks like this wall's taking a little bit of damage over here. So I will activate my reconstruction on auto test. And now that this tiny lumber mill 7 is done, or lumber mill 7 is done, I'm going to make it a tiny lumber mill. I have a ton of wood building up here. It's a sign that I'm not using my wood as effectively as I could be. So I'm going to upgrade all of these to dark lumber mill, or the dark barricade, which is 100 per research, and then we're going to, or per upgrade, and then we're going to start converting these into tiny lumber mill 4s.
What you got?
And then I'm going to get another armor upgrade once it is available. For now though, because it's not available, I'm going to upgrade these and increase them. Lieutenant Steeler has arrived. Not quite as many wall upgrades as I'd have hoped, but it's not terrible. I'm going to get these guys up to the next level as well. You know, part of the reason why these are taking so much damage is because these guys aren't actually repairing. Once again, that annoying thing where they don't repair after you've upgraded them. Get the next wall upgrade researched. And then turn off autocast since it looks like my wall is slightly increased. In reality, I would suspect that my walls are actually durable enough when I don't have those auto repair issues. Because it looks like they're doing more or less fine now. Also, Lieutenant Steeler has arrived. I'm going to upgrade the outer 2 walls to light barricades. But really, the more important thing than the HP of the wall is that you have enough armor upgrades. Currently, I have 56 armor, which is getting me 77% damage upgrades. Obviously, the additional wall health will help a bit, but if you don't have enough armor, they're just going to get quickly destroyed. Because Lieutenant Steeler does siege damage, which I believe is like 200% damage against walls or any fortified buildings. There we go. Yeah, it looks like they're doing pretty much perfectly fine. The next couple upgraded though. One other thing to keep in mind that can be slightly deceptive is that your walls, I believe in this in Warcraft 3, walls don't trigger the auto repairs until they reach in a ballpark 70% health. That's just a complete guess, but essentially what I'm getting at is sometimes they'll be repaired, but or you might have enough repair, but it won't seem like it because your repair guys just haven't picked it yet. Also, once again, if you do have the Tinker, which is the level 5 hero, you can just activate Reconstruction with me. Alright, get this next armor upgrade researching. I'm also going to get the last one of these. So once those 8 lumber mill 3s finish upgrading, I'm going to have another tiny lumber mill 7. And now that I have spare food, don't need this by the way, long range mastery is what we want, I'm going to create some more privates. Probably a decent time to get 1 level of second chance just in case something goes horribly wrong. I'm also going to upgrade these into Supreme Repair Bots. Supreme Repair Bots are the final level of repair bots that don't require gold, so I'm going to wait to upgrade them for a little while. Now that I have all of these done, it's time to upgrade the rest of these tiny lumber mill 1s and 2s. And you'll be able to do mass upgrades with these due to how quickly lumber mill 7s make wood in comparison to the earlier levels. So the next thing I'm going to do is save up about 2,000 wood, excluding post-armor upgrades. I'm always going to be researching these whenever possible due to how important they are, but what I'm saving up for is 35 gold, which is 1,500 wood, and then another 500 wood to get the item. The item that I'm going to be purchasing is the Rainbow Blasting Staff, which will combine with my elemental stone to create an elemental blasting staff.
All geared up.
So there's the first 10 wood. And time to transmute another batch So now that this region is pretty much completely filled on lumber mills, the next I'm going to go back here and create another lumber mill, or another repair factory, and create another 2 more lumber mill 7s. I would create more than 2 lumber mill 7s, but unfortunately it's not actually possible.
Keep running.
Alright, let's get another armor upgrade researching here. And let's see, here he is. Also, the range on the single transmute is actually enormous, so you don't need to worry about getting too close. Or being too far away, depending on how you want to look at it.
I'm all geared up.
Okay. And use another cogs of time. I'm not fully utilizing cogs of time. If I were, I would actually probably have like another 10 to 15 tiny lumber mills by now, just because of how powerful that ability is. But unfortunately, because the cooldown, or well, not really unfortunately, but because the cooldown is only 20 seconds, I frequently end up forgetting to use it. Because what ends up happening is if you're using it optimally, you can actually use it 2 times per 8 structures, which I have been falling significantly. Alright, let's get the rest of oops, I ended up buying too much gold, but that's not too big of a deal, because I ended up having enough spare wood anyway. Looks like my walls are doing perfectly fine, and I need to research futuristic technology, which actually ended up needing 10 gold anyway, so that error of a purchase ended up working out. Let's get a few more privates going. So the reason why this elemental blasting staff is important is because it does 5,000 damage without your hero needing to attack. The not needing to attack part isn't particularly important, but having 5,000 damage is basically our first source of relevant DPS in the game. And as you can see, thanks to my high amount of armor, despite the fact that these guys have a fair amount of damage, and they're getting 50% increased damage from mad mode, my walls are doing perfectly fine. So the next thing to get here is, now that I have a lot of wood production, it's important to start creating, or to start researching these wall health upgrades. The wall health upgrades aren't very good in the early game due to how expensive they are, but late game they are quite important, because you'll have enough wood to get whatever you want, so it's just something that you want to make sure you're always researching. Alright, looks like I have a broken one. And let's see. So I'm going to get more long-range mastery researches. I'm also going to get 2 levels of mecha up. Thankfully, I didn't get a really bad bug. Sometimes when you research mecha up, all of your engineering technicians will explode, which is super annoying, but since I didn't have it happen, no problem at all there. So since this batch of 32 tiny lumber mills is just about completed, I'm going to go ahead and create the next repair factory over here. There we go. And then I'm going to move the alchemist to the right side. I'm also going to get solar batteries, lunar mist, soul research, special bookshelves, and 2 levels of nuclear backup. Nuclear backup's mostly pointless, but I just kind of think it looks cool. It does AoE damage, but it's such a small amount that honestly seems like it does nothing at all. But, and then I can move this guy back. Yeah, like, that did 10,000 damage, which doesn't sound terrible. Then you look at this boss and it has 124,000 health. So, I mean, the units that it's useful against aren't particularly important. So, That's the main problem with nuclear backup. I'm going to get another level of food bonus here so that I can keep producing privates. I'm also going to upgrade the privates a couple times. And upgrade these to higher levels. Alright, yeah, so this water unit's a bit annoying for me to deal with because it destroys my repairmen, which is why I need to create a few more. Looks like it's destroyed about 6, so I'm just going to queue that up twice.
Research complete.
There we are. Now it looks like basically all the units at my base have finally been killed. Took quite a while, but the main reason why it's died down is thanks to the elemental blasting
I'm on
staff.
top of it.
I'm also going to turn off reconstruction and upgrade my walls. There's definitely space for this if I get them close to the sides. Gotta keep moving. There we go. Now move these guys this way, and then blink them in. Yeah, so it looks like I overproduced by 1. Not a big deal.
Is complete. Out with it. That's it.
What is it? Off I go then. I can't go then. Off I go then.
So the next structure that I'm going to create is the bookshelf. I don't really need this just yet, but because I have a fair amount of free time due to the slow amount of enemies, or low amount of enemies, I'm just going to get that done right now. And then just begin mass upgrading these in groups of 4. You don't have to do it in groups of 4, but then you can run the risk of structures matching together the way you don't want, which will then require a ton of transmutes for you to fix. Due to how slow it is to select these in groups of 4, I'll probably end up having enough wood to upgrade every single one of these. There we go. Actually, you know what? I ended up doing it slightly faster than I anticipated, and I ended up running out of wood. Also, one other cool thing about the elemental blasting staff, as I mentioned, it's completely passive. So my hero's blasting staff was actually hitting these guys for 5,000 from all the way over here. Alright, some more long-range mastery upgrades and some food upgrades.
Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete.
Summon
upgrade complete. Research complete.
So it's more important to prioritize the ones that can upgrade into tiny lumber mill 7s, so I'm going to be focusing on upgrading
Off I go
those.
then. Yes, my lord. All right.
Enlighten me.
Okay.
Summon is complete. My brothers, no one shall be the wiser. Summon is complete.
Our allies' town is under siege.
Upgrade. Research summon is complete. Summon is complete.
More
Upgrade.
lumber is required.
Upgrade complete.
There we go.
Upgrade complete.
So these are beginning to complete, which is good. Had I focused on upgrading these more, I would have had a tiny lumber mill 7, but oh well. If I check my current WPS, not super accurate because these are in the midst of upgrading. Probably have around 40, I guess. Soon to be closer to 60.
Yes, my lord. Off I go then. I can't build this, my lord.
All systems go.
There we go.
Summoning is complete. Summoning is complete.
And unfortunately, these didn't quite finish as quickly as I would have hoped, which is going to slow down the production of these, so I'm going to go back to upgrading these. Looks like my privates are dying, so what I'm going to do here is purchase a healing tree from the item vendor. It's located under the region section of the shop. It costs 3 gold and 100 wood, which at this point is quite cheap. I'm going to destroy this tower right here and place the hidden tree. Actually, I'm not sure where that... Did I not buy it? I guess I didn't buy it.
I'm on top of it.
Oh, see, I thought I bought it. It looks like it went to my survivor instead. Not a big deal. I'll just place it over here or something. Now I'm going to start creating these guys at the level of sergeant, so I don't have to constantly micromanage the upgrades for them. And it looks like it's also about time for me to get another food upgrade. You can upgrade armor if you want to, but it's not, or not armor. You can upgrade, oh, I did mean armor. Plated armor if you want to, but these guys will mainly be taking damage from spells, which plated armor doesn't protect them from. Here is the outpost.
Is complete.
Yes, me lord. All right.
And I know I'm letting a fair amount of these build up. Once this finishes, I'm going to start placing them right here. It also is tempting to get another mercenary headquarters just to expedite the building process. And once again, it looks like I have a bit of a lull, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Also, it's probably a good time to get the next level of repairman. To do that though, I'm going to need a fair amount of gold, so I'm going to get 20, sounds about right. There's also a level of repairman above this, but I'm going to be saving that for slightly later.
I am prepared.
There we go. And now I can place these tiny lumber mills over here. But before I do that, I'm going to upgrade these. Let's see what I'm up to. 65. Those tiny lumber mill 7s will boost up your wood production significantly. Okay, now that I finally got all of those upgrades done, the next thing to do is upgrade my repair bots instead of the repair structures. So for that, I'm going to need about 17 gold, and thankfully these guys upgrade instantly, which is nice. Oh yeah, one other thing about the repair factory, advanced repair factory in comparison to regular, is the advanced repair factory has the ability to directly create whatever level of repair bots you want, whereas the regular repair factory can only create regular repair bots instead of master or whatever else. Alright, now that I have 2 of these, it's going to significantly boost the rate that I can make sergeants, and since I have 300 food, it's definitely important. Top over the wall upgrades here. And it's probably a decent time to get one more level of future defense, because I think that's going to be approaching pretty soon. And before I place the rest of these guys, I'm going to shrink my final tiny lumber mill 7, or lumber mill 7 into a tiny lumber mill 7.
Forward.
Sorry,
Yes,
time's
Lord.
up.
All right. Right now.
The engine's running.
There we go. And time to place these.
Upgrade complete.
So once again, you want to make sure you place these in groups of 4. If you don't do that, it will end up messing up your ability to upgrade them into tiny lumber mill 5s. And actually, you know what? I will showcase a slightly alternative strategy where you can do it a little bit differently when it comes to structure placement. Tiny lumber mill 4s, which is the elf structure, can be upgraded into gold mines, so I'll upgrade this row of 4 into gold mines because there's not enough space to upgrade them into the altar posts. Probably a good time to get electric defenses too, just because that's a pretty useful upgrade. Alright, so let's see how much it will cost to get these upgraded. Looks like I have enough. And this is Mithril Barricade, and then there's only 3 upgrades left past that. And those upgrades will require me to research God's knowledge at the bookshelf, which is why I created that. Here's what the finished lower section looks like, and you can jam a few gold mines into these regions if you like. Perfect fit. And then I'm going to move over to this side. At this point, I guess I can just make these directly into gunnery sergeants. I have enough resources for it. And I'm going to finish upgrading them for all the ones that haven't been upgraded yet. So again, you put 1 gold. And I think that's all of the unupgraded units. I'm going to spread these guys out slightly more since they're a little too clustered for my taste. Looks like every single one of them got stuck on my hero. The reason that makes sergeants... Oh, it looks like it did. The reason that these guys are useful is because they have a 5% chance to stun for 1 second. So when you have 300 divided by 5 of them, which I guess comes out to 60, the reason that's quite good is that you'll end up with pretty close to a perma-stun effect on the bosses, which is nice. Now, yeah, I'll get God's knowledge. So that's going to cost me 800 books, which will be 40 gold and 1600 wood. God's knowledge, or the structure that God's knowledge enables, is relatively expensive, but nothing too bad since we have so much wood production. And then the next, so God's Seal is the current one. The next one is going to be the Curse Barricade, and then after that it is Devil's Defense or something like that, which is just going to be like a little cauldron. Alright. Yeah, so the next thing I'm going to be researching in the command center is health bonus. This is going to be relatively important so that later on they don't get destroyed by AoE effects from bosses. Doesn't matter too much though. They'll probably still end up dying anyway, but oh well. It's also about time for me to get rid of this accidental structure I made right here because it's beginning to get annoying. The next level, futuristic technology. Upgrade these in groups of 4. There we are. I slightly messed that up, but that actually doesn't matter. Actually, there we go. So the next thing for me to get is the next book upgrade, which is going to be mechanics. And then I will also upgrade this, and actually I'll just get the other book done at the same time since it's pretty cheap. That's going to give me the final level of Aura statue after this one. Alright, so with that next level of mechanic upgrades, I can give repair technologists, and that's going to be the final level of repair unit income. Okay, so it's going to bring me 5,000 wood to get the next level of barricade, so I'll go ahead and do that now. And it looks like I need a few more gunnery circuits. Also, if you don't want to get spiked defenses, you don't really need to. The amount of damage that it reflects is honestly pretty pathetic. It's reflecting 390 damage, and these units have 47,000 HP. So if you don't have it, you probably won't even notice. So yeah. Alright, looks like that's it for the health upgrades. And now my fourth... I don't think there's anything else relevant for me to create. Built my towers, chance of using special abilities, towers, hero, no researches there though. Yeah, so this fourth one's actually no longer needed, so I'll get rid of it. I'll probably leave it up. Anyway, so I'm going to upgrade these into... Oh, that's amusing. Sometimes a bug that will happen is that your structures won't be able to upgrade, your tiny structures that is, and it looks like 3 of the 4 that I placed here aren't able to upgrade into gold mines for whatever reason. Little bugs like that, there's not really much I can do about it, unfortunately. And I believe that error will also mean that it can't be upgraded into tiny lumber mill 5s, so we're just going to be left as is. Okay, looks like my walls are taking a little bit of damage here, so I'm going to convert and get 120 gold to purchase the next level of weapon, which is the Cursed Larceny. And that's going to require 4,000. There we go. Looks like the problem may have been that the repair technologist weren't actually repairing. Not particularly surprising, problems happen quite a few times this game. Oh, there's the Trojan. So this is the second to last boss of the game. When you kill the Trojan, he will become the Nahort, which is just Trojan spelled backwards. And once you kill the Nahort, I screwed that up. He must have just activated his spell immunity. If you do it right, you can speed up the kill rate of the Trojan, but oh well. Also, let's check out my WPS. 107? That's pretty good. Produced 102,000 wood this game so far, which is pretty solid. I'm just gonna keep these researching. This is a pretty good level of wall to have by this point. If you really wanted to, you could have the Devil's Barricade. However, as I mentioned earlier, it's only a slight health increase, so not having it, like, just due to wall upgrades, mine already have 188,000 health, so if I didn't have those, then they would have 190, but it ends up balancing out to be pretty comparable. Okay, so let's go ahead and get another super larceny. And I'm also going to get rid of these benign viruses and just kind of spam them on my units here. It does give a little bonus, but it's so minor that, I mean, it's not going to be useful in this case. I'm just doing it to free up inventory slots. There we go. Now it gives me room for another super larceny. Or cursed larceny. Super larceny is defined. At this point, I'm probably not even going to end up using the final couple of tiny lumber mills that I made, just because not really that much time remaining, but yes, I can replace them. And it's really hard to quit these sometimes. Whatever. I'll just fix it now. This is once again going to be a gold mine row. Okay. Let's see how my walls are holding up to the Nahort. Looks like pretty much perfectly fine. Taking a little bit of damage, but that's just because my repair guys haven't begun yet. I guess I can make a few more elite gunnery sergeants. Up another cursed larceny. Unfortunately, I believe the Nahort is completely spell immune. Oh, he wasn't. But it also goes to show that 80,000 damage doesn't do quite as much as you would hope. Like, he still has quite a bit of health left. Let me spread these guys out a bit. They are way too clustered.
Our town is under siege.
There we are. These guys, I thought these guys would be able to reach from over here. It looks like it's slightly too far away. Alright, so that's it for the non-bonus boss. The next boss is going to be Tyrant Commander Behemoth, who spawns immediately after the Nahort dies, and he'll just wander over to my base in a second. Tyrant Commander Behemoth can be slightly difficult to deal with because he does siege damage instead of... Actually, I didn't even check. I think the Nahort does just like regular attack stuff. So as per usual, I'm going to upgrade these 3 specific walls that I mentioned earlier, just in case. To be honest though, I don't think he's going to be able to get through my 140 armor walls. I believe this tops out at 30 upgrades, so I'm almost maxed out. Also, I forgot to upgrade this to the Lionheart statue, which will give 12 additional armor. Or 15 additional armor. Oh, no, 12. For some reason, that's not. Anyway, let's check out these wall health. Looks very good. And there we go. So once these are done, I'll have the final wall of the game. With my health upgrades, it's probably going to be something like 220,000 health, which is pretty good. I guess I get Sergeant Palmer a little bit closer. Also, I guess I'll put this inner fire on my hero to get about 1,000 extra damage. Yeah, as you can see, despite the fact that I upgraded these guys' health, it only actually gave them 5,000 additional health, so they still die to pretty much all the abilities. Looks like my walls are stunned, maybe? Or my towers? Not really sure what's going on there. Oh, you know what it is? It's because he's spell immune and he's still magic damage. So you can't freeze the final boss, which makes these towers slightly less useful. Actually, now that I think about it, I guess I could destroy them to increase the amount of units hit, but it does not matter. Okay, let me get another 120 gold. 115 wood per second.
I'm all geared up.
And you do only get about 10 minutes, I believe, to kill Tyrant Commander Behemoth. So if you don't have quite enough damage, that can be a little problematic. And as you can see, these guys, the stun is quite useful because your walls plenty of time to get repaired. Another thing that you can do to actually beef up your walls quite a bit is purchase the cursed or black armor from here, and then if you pop that in your wall, as you can see, it's pretty crazy. 160 armor, so it'd basically be doubling it. But now that I think about it, probably only be like a, I don't know Warcraft 3's armor numbers ratios that well. Probably be like 98% reduction, which is good, but super expensive. I guess for fun real quick, I'll fly up to the top left of the map just to see how much that would cost. I want to tell you it's either 160 gold or 480 gold. Because I can't remember if the lower level one costs 160 or if it costs 40.
I'm on top of it.
I was just wrong entirely. So the lower level one is 100 gold and the upper level one is 400 gold. So yeah. Also, if you're curious, the Rainbow Blasting Staff without the Elemental Stone only does 2,000 damage, which is significantly worse, but, I mean, at the end of the day, your ability to defend mostly just boils down to your upgrades anyway. That extra 3,000 damage is not going to make or break the game. Let's just see if there's anything else interesting here. Excalibur, 960 gold, 32,000 wood. Increases the strength power of the hero by 1,000. That's pretty nice. Let's see, how much health does strength give in this? 18. So that's giving you 18,000 hit points. It's pretty nice. Let's see what else there is. 30,000 damage. Also, though, the cost of this is insane. 960 gold would be something like 50,000 wood, and then well, a little bit less than that, and then another 32,000. So this is running you about 80,000 wood. And then let's see here, Magma Fist, that's available in the regular shop. So it looks like these are the only 3 special items up here. And then there's also this dude, but these are all regular items as well. Actually, it's possible the shop here only has access to the lower level potions. Nope, it's the exact same.
Engine's running.
Anything else up here? Nah, nope.
I'm all geared up.
Okay. Anyway, so that's basically it for beating Mad Mode on solo. All you really need to do this is rank 5. The other little bonus items I have help a little bit, but they don't make too much of a difference. The big thing though is just the Tinker's ability to create the advanced repair factories, and also in the early game cogs of time is quite important, and the ability to double your construction speed on buildings because of the extra builder is really useful. Alright, so let's take a look at the walls here if I can get that to pop up. Ah, fantastic. So 232,000, pretty solid. The main problem that this base would most likely have is that the siege cannons will, I'm assuming anyway, are long enough range to destroy the lumber mill machines, which would be pretty annoying. But since I don't actually intend on doing any endless stuff, it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, looks like some of my units got the benign virus. Yeah, sometimes when you use it on them, that will create an extra pack of it. Looks like this barricade's taking a beating, so... Anyway, so that's it for Mad Mode. As I already mentioned, not too bad. Really, you just have to be on top of producing the lumber mill machines whenever you're able to. By using this 8 lumber mill setup, you can use area transmute every now and then, and that's going to easily handle all of your conversion needs. If you do want to use the 4 method, that's going to work as well, but you'll probably end up having to purchase mana potions to sustain your alchemist mana. Aside from that, just don't forget to type -save at the end of the game just in case. And yeah, so that's it for beating Fortress Survival on Mad, and I'll see you guys in the next video.